Good evening. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. Life in Focus. We're glad to have you with us tonight. So, just a second, I'll get everything set up here and we'll get trucking. Okay, welcome to Tuesday Night Live, Life in Focus. We're glad to have you with us tonight. I have been absent for a couple of weeks due to technical difficulties. I couldn't get everything to work. And so we want you to know that we're glad to have you with us tonight. We're going to start a new series tonight on basically Jesus coming, God coming to meet us, to help us in our addictions and the issues of our life that are destroying us, because He loves us so much, He cares about us, so sometimes we cannot get to Him, and so He comes to us. And that's what we're going to talk about for the next few weeks. The Lord's Prayer says, "Thy kingdom come." And that's what we're going to concentrate on also, that God's kingdom come in your life and that God turns things around for you and upgrades your life in His kingdom, and your soul begins to prosper. Because God said in His Word that He wanted your soul to prosper. And He said, "May you prosper and be in health even as your soul prospers." I'm not totally sure how that works. I'm doing a study on it. But we're going to be talking about that also in the next few weeks. It's not about healing. Okay, you can be healed, but it's about walking in health and prosperity. Now, prosperity is not just money. It can be money, relationships, emotions. It can be a multiplicity of things that we prosper in our lives. So we're going to be talking about that, but we're going to start out tonight with slam dunk transformation in some lives. Okay? So we're going to start out with our theme song, and we'll be right back.
Lift the load from my shoulders, shake the chains from my heart. Let the crushed and silent voice within declare a new start. Song of renewal deep in my heart, sung in the daylight, sung in the dark. Troubles in this life weigh on my mind, but I live stronger, stronger to leave them behind. Living doesn't
Okay, here we go. Jesus told his disciples one day that he wanted to go to the other side of the lake, sea. And so they all got in the boat. Jesus was tired, been ministering quite a few days, and if you've ever ministered much, you know that if you're anointed, which that's what Christ means, is the anointed one. It kind of depletes the fleshful man, and wrings him out, wears him out. Spirit is strong, but the flesh has a difficult time dealing with the power of the Spirit. So, he said, let's go to the other side. And they get in the boat and start off the other side. And while they're on the way, a storm comes up. A massive storm comes up. And the disciples are trying to manage their boat. The disciples are seafaring guys. They know all about the sea. They know all about boats. They know all about storms. But this storm was quite severe, and they were having trouble. Now, I think I got the right story. If not, I'll correct it next week. But I think Jesus was asleep, resting in the boat. So it was a pretty good sized boat that they were in, that had a place that you could actually go down below and sleep. And the disciples were very fearful that they weren't going to make it. So they woke Jesus up, and he calmed the seas and the storm. And then they arrived at the location that they were planning on going. When they got there, the place was called the Gadarenes. That was the name of the island. It'd be somewhat like going from Eisenhower Park up on Lake Texoma and going across, say, to Burns Run or someplace on the other side of the lake. And as soon as you get started out there, a massive storm comes up and you're fighting just to make it back to shore and to get to the other side so you can be safe. And it's a scary thing if you ever get caught out in a boat like that. One time we went deep sea fishing down in Galveston, and Luke and I decided to go out fishing at night where the ship channel was, and we had a 20-foot boat, and it had a 283 Chevrolet inboard outboard drive engine and pump that kind of like a rocket. And so we got out there and got off out of the way of all the ships that were coming through and began to fish. And after a couple hours, the wind started getting up and started getting stormy. And we decided to go in, and Luke got over there and he turned the key and nothing happened. And I tell you, I was scared because all the ships, and it was dark, and it was cloudy, and the wind was blowing, the waves were getting up, and I began to pray. And I was working on the engine, trying to figure out what was wrong, and I had a screwdriver in my hand. The screwdriver slipped and went across the starter, and the wires there, and turned it over. So the switch that run the starter had failed, and I was able to start it with a screwdriver, and we were able to get safely back to shore, which was a great relief to me. So that's kind of the way it was for those disciples. They got over there where they were going, and the Gadarenes and Mark, one of them, the stories in Mark and Matthew, one of them has 2 men in it, the other one has 1 man in it. And so when Jesus came ashore, Emmanuel, which is God with us, was his name. And so when he came ashore, these 1 or 2 men, whichever story you read, met him on the shore there. And according to the way I understand the situation, they were naked. The story goes that they were wild men. They were what we would probably call mentally ill. They had a lot of issues in their life. They were screaming. You couldn't keep them clothed. And we put people in behavioral health centers now and drug them instead of chaining them. But the people back then, they didn't have all and didn't understand that. So they tried to chain them because they lived in the tombs. Now, the tombs back then were not like we have now. It was not a graveyard. It was like caves. And you owned your cave, and you put you and your family in there, and you had a big stone that rolled up over it and covered it up. And so they were living in these caves with dead people. And mostly, I think they were probably, all their skin was gone. All that was left was skeletons. And they lived there, and there was a road that went by there, and people were scared to go down that road because these people would attack them. And when they chained them, they would break the chains. And now, you can't break a chain without destroying your skin. But these were evilly possessed men. Not only did they have mental illness, but they were very strong in what we would call in our day evil spirits on them. So they come, and these guys met Jesus, and he began to talk to them. Now, so he began to talk to them, and the evil spirits began to talk through these two men. And so Jesus ended up not talking to the men directly, but he was talking to the evil spirits. And he asked them what their name was. And we know that evil spirits are what? Fallen angels, right? That got kicked out of heaven when the devil fought against God. So we have all these demons running around, and sometimes they get into people and get in their souls. So that's what happened. So Jesus was talking to these demons, and he asked them what their name was, and they said their name was legions. And because they said we're so many, so legions means about 2,000 of those evil spirits that was in these guys that was tormenting them day and night. They was cutting themselves. They were attacking people. They were breaking chains. They were screaming. They were tearing their clothes off. They were in torment, total torment. Jesus specifically went across the sea to meet these two men, to deliver them and set them free from the torment that their lives were in. How many know people that are tormented? Some people are tormented because of addiction. They get addicted on alcohol or some kind of drugs, meth, heroin, prescription drugs, and they're tormented. They lose everything they have. They lose their job. They lose their relationships. They lose their family. They lose their house and car, and a lot of them end up homeless without any place to sleep or any place to go, and a lot of them don't have any food, and they just have to beg for food, and it's a miserable existence. And when it's really cold, they're out in the cold weather, and there's not enough shelter around for them a lot of times when it's cold. So it's a horrible existence if you're in that torment and you can't get loose from it. From alcohol, for years I worked with people that were addicted, and they couldn't stop. One guy, he was so bad he would drink Listerine, and he would pass out. One time he passed out on a fire ant bed, and they stung him so bad he was in intensive care for several days. And he finally did that so many times, and we tried to help him for several years. We tried to help him, and he just could not get set free for some reason. And it finally took his life. So, where are you at tonight? Where are you at? Are you in torment? Are you homeless? Have you lost everything? You lost all your relationships and all those things? Do you need to be set free? Do you need help? God wants to help you. God wants to help you. God wants to set you free. He wants to deliver you from all those addictions and your emotional issues and your paranoia and schizophrenia and bipolar. He wants to help you manage those things in your life so you're not tormented all the time. So we see that Jesus met those guys on the beach when he arrived in a boat and began to deal with the evil spirits that were tormenting them and destroying their lives because they had lost and they couldn't go home anymore. They were living in tombs. They were cutting themselves. They were naked. So that's the condition that Jesus found these two men. And he came to set them free. So I don't want to go into the rest of the story tonight because I can't complete it because my time is almost up. So we ask you to be sure and come back next week and let's continue this story about the man and Jesus helping to deliver them and the finish of the story. And the story turns out really well. And it can help you be set free also. So, it's time to go. We got to go tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. And I think we're on Rumble now. If you want to go to Rumble and watch us. If it's working right, I'm not real sure about that. But so it's time to go. See you next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. But next Tuesday night, it's going to be 6:30 before I'm able to do the podcast. So remember that. And I'll put an announcement up at 6 o'clock next week about that. God bless you. Go with us. Send me a text. Send me an email. Send me something. Call me. Let me know how you're doing. And if we can help you in any way. God bless you.